Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we are on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
Great. I'm doing great. Getting my midsummer rookie draft season going again.
Wow.
It hit hard in May and took a couple months off and had one last weekend. Got one this coming weekend with you leading the way.
Whoop, whoop.
So I assume we're all pretty excited to get that started. Other than that, how are you doing, Christian?
I'm doing well. I thought I hadn't hit record. That's why we got the little weird, goofy,
I
panicked
saw some
intro.
faces. Yeah.
But I did hit record, so we're good to go. I'm tired. I'm very tired. I've been opening every day this week, just how the schedule worked best. But I am not a morning bird. I am the late bird that
Night
gets no
owl.
worm. Um, so I'm
The
running on
late
fumes a little
bird.
bit. And next week we will be taking off. I'll go ahead and get that out of here way because I am gonna move. I'm moving into a
Yeah.
house. No more shows. So this will be the last one you hear. You won't hear it right now because they haven't started, but probably halfway through, you're gonna start hearing it. But I promise, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be the last time you hear any music playing. And it couldn't come at a better time because we are wrapping up our position breakdowns, our position rankings with the AFC running backs. Hopefully, you've been with us the whole time, but if not, we're ranking the position groups, NFC, AFC 16 to 1, seeing how we feel about each of these guys individually. And it is the running back's turn for finality. So we're here. We did it. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel good. It went quick, you know. It's
Yeah,
like time flies when you're having fun, as the kids say. And I think, yeah, we've been having the most fun. So
the most fun for sure.
absolutely. I'm excited to see where we go from here. No pressure on me. Damn it. I gotta come up with some new ideas. All right, I can do
Uh,
it.
well, fair enough. All right, well, let's crack into it. So, like we've been doing, we'll go 16 to 1. I'll take the lead here.
Okay.
I've got the Tennessee Titans at 16. I have been fairly flowery of the Titans. I do think they're going to have a better year. I just don't know if fantasy consistent production is going to come out of the running back room. Tony Pollard has been more impressive than I thought he would be with the Titans. And he ended up finishing as the RB 20. Where was he? RB 20 something, RB 23 in terms of total points, but he was only the RB 30 in terms of points per game. So really, he just stayed healthy all year. He's turning 29 going into the season this year. Tajay Spears, I apparently need to just let that go, but I won't because that's not my personality type. But he was the RB 38, so actually okay for a backup running back. You could slide him in. And it's weird because Spears out targeted Tony Pollard by not a ton, but he out targeted him. But then Tony Pollard absolutely crushed him in attempts, 242 to 72. So it wasn't fair on the ground, but they did use Spears quite a bit out of the backfield as a receiver. So potentially both those guys have room to improve. I think the offense is going to be better. They bring in Carnell Tate, they bring in Wan'Dale Robinson, they bring in Brian Daboll for that matter. I think Cam Ward can take another step. But I just don't know that it's going to go to the RB room because it's so muddy. Because they also bring in Nicholas Singleton in the fifth round, who a couple years ago we were all looking at as a potential second round NFL draft guy, first round dynasty draft guy. It didn't really happen that way, but he's still got some juice to his name, and I feel like they'll carve out a role for him. So you got these three guys on an offense that I want to be better and expect to be better, but isn't necessarily hasn't proven that. So I couldn't rank them any higher than this. I just kind of liked the floor of all these other position groups better.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I also have them ranked as 16th, and it's like you're saying, right? Tony Pollard definitely was the lead last year, but we're still waiting for Spears to break out now. Singleton's in the room, so I think you nailed it. Honestly,
Okay.
you kind of segue me right into my number 15
Okay.
team, which I don't want to just say is exactly the same situation in my opinion. But I put RJ Harvey, the Denver
Okay.
setup. And it's a similar situation where
Mm-hmm.
Dobbins comes back after leading the team in carries with 153. With RJ definitely being the lead receiving threat with 52 targets or 58 targets, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you have a rookie enter the room with Jonah Coleman, who's the highest drafted running back in the AFC this year. So that's got to throw in some confusion. So I was pretty excited about Harvey. I
Mm-hmm.
thought he had some pretty solid play going in. It's pretty good efficiency and some burst and some good receiving chops. Like really, I thought he was pretty impressive. He had 356 receiving yards at a 7.6 per and six
Yeah.
touchdowns. So that was pretty solid in my opinion. So I expected him to maybe get an opportunity to build on that. But yeah, I don't know. He didn't really get the green light when they brought back the vet. They didn't have to do
Mm-hmm.
that. It wasn't, it's a new contract there. And then, bringing in the rookie competition, I am excited about Coleman. I think he's got a chance to kind of take over this running back room. So with that in mind, uncertainty of the workload plus the addition of Jalen Waddle, giving the passing game more juice and the ability of Bo Nix as a runner to vulture some of the rushing touchdowns. It just kind of it put me in a situation with the Denver team that I didn't feel comfortable putting these guys any higher than this.
I hear you. I kind of echo everything you said. I do have him slightly above. I'm at 14.
Okay.
So there's just one group that I don't like as much, and I can honestly tell that we're just going to differ on it because we have every time we've talked about this position group for this specific team.
Yep.
But that's in a second. But I agree with everything you're saying, man. RJ Harvey was the RB 24 in points per game. Dobbins was right behind him at 27, even though he missed some time. And then yeah, you bring in Coleman as a fourth round pick. And the thing is with Harvey, he was not that efficient of a runner, 3.7 yards per attempt, but he made up for it with 12 combined touchdowns and 47 receptions, which broke him into the top 24 for final running backs, which is awesome for a rookie. But they clearly wanted something more, like I think they
Yeah.
expected a little more. So they go out and they get Coleman. That's like, it was a fourth round pick, but they didn't have their first round pick. So it was the third position they attacked, I believe. And so they clearly want something there. And Dobbins is such a wild card as well there because he was averaging 5 yards per attempt when he was playing. But it's like, can he stay healthy? He probably cannot, So it's like, it is what it is with that. But I just don't know that Harvey's going to slide in and take those rushing attempts if Dobbins does go down again. I think Coleman probably will. But that leads to just like a triple-headed monster like you're talking about. Um, and then Jalen Waddle, I also think affects it a little bit because I do think he's going to come in to boost the passing game and maybe take away some of the targets that might have gone to the running backs. Although, you know, Peyton always targets the running backs quite a bit, so I'm not as worried about that. The only reason I don't have them at 15 is I just think overall they're a better offense, a way better offense than the team I have at 15. So I just think I just expect more out of them on a week to week basis, but they're ranked so low because it's like, well, who is gonna be that guy? You know?
Hmm.
So that's why I have them ranked at 14. But at 15, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers and their two running backs. Really hoping for three, maybe Caleb Johnson can get in there somewhere. He's still young. Let's see.
No.
But one of the worst rookie seasons I've ever seen in my whole life.
Oh gosh.
So that was rough. But I'm really talking about Jalen Warren and Rico Dowdle here. Jalen Warren had a really pretty productive year last season, RB 19 in points per game. He finished 17th overall, so pretty good on a fairly mediocre offense. Rico Dowdle finished not too far behind him at RB 23 in points per game, but 18th overall. Both these guys are on the wrong side of 27. So that's not ever something you want to see. Rico Dowdle's 28. Tyler Warren's already 27. Warren had 8 touchdowns last season and led the team in red zone opportunities, which is something you like to see. But he was only 6 ahead of Kenny Gainwell, so it's not like he was like dominating in the running in the red zone. He did end up getting more touchdowns, but Kenny Gainwell was really stealing time from him. And now they bring in Rico Dowdle, who's a more similar type player to Jalen Warren, like a thumper, a runner, a guy that they can really use, eat, and have him eat in the red zone as well. So I actually think these guys are going to kind of vulture each other a lot in the red zone. So it's going to be really hard to determine like which one you want on a week to week basis. Because they both kind of do that. You know what I mean? So with the new coaching staff, I mean, all these numbers could change. Obviously, we don't know what Mike McCarthy's going to do, but I see it being fairly split between these two guys. I don't think you want to overwork either of these two guys at their age that they currently are. And maybe they'll go with the hot hand, but that hand might only stay hot for a week or two. But ultimately, I'm pretty low on the Steelers as a concept. And so just having if it was one guy that I knew for sure would be the bell cow, then I would have him ranked higher. But them being a split backfield on an offense, I don't really expect to be that great. Just kind of has me a little skeptical. So I got him down here at 15.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I've got them at 13, so
Okay.
I'm not too far off. I think probably my big upset of a ranking is coming up here pretty quick, as I always have a wild card in here. But no, you're right. I just for me, the fact that like none of those Broncos running backs had over like 150 carries, and we're talking about Warren who had over 200,
hmm
and
That's fair.
Rico over 200. I think that one of these guys is going to rise up, but you're right, especially with McCarthy, we're going to see probably both of them.
hmm
But I do think there's going to be some more leaning on the rushing game for the Steelers. So yeah, I don't know. They kind of took the year off their 28th in rush attempts, so
hmm
we'll see what ends up happening. I don't disagree with you. I just got them a little higher than that, and
Okay.
at 14, here I go again, doing the thing that I always do. I'm going with the Jaguars and
Okay.
Bashul Tootin.
Okay.
So I'm sure you got them at 4, right?
Nah, 11.
11. Yeah,
So,
that's a little. Okay. All right. So for me, this is just about Tootin and his
hmm
lack of workload. He only had 83 touches last year. Obviously, Trevor Etienne is out of the picture. So that's 260 touches available. And, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with Tootin and his workload split. You got Chris Rodriguez Jr. in there, and then just kind of like a bunch of randos, including Jamari Taylor, who is a guy I'm kind of excited about. It was undrafted free agent coming out of this year's rookie class. I think he's got an opportunity to do at least some pass catching work because that was not Bashul's thing, right? He only had 14 targets, 10 receptions last year. And so for me, it's just he's unproven in this offense. I don't think that he can be the number one guy. Travis Etienne had 52 targets, and this team had a total of 78 targets to the running back room, which is, fair amount. It's kind of bottom half of the league, but for him to go from 14 up to taking up to 50, I just don't see it happening. So I think there is going to be a rotation of backs if he's going to be you know, the rushing back, he's not going to be the receiving back that takes him off the field. It kind of eats into his potential. And I just don't necessarily see this working out for fantasy. I'm sure that the Jaguars will find a way to make it work. But as far as fantasy goes, I don't necessarily think that Tootin's the guy. So I'm kind of shying away from him, and you're seeing it here in my rankings. You know, he had a yards per attempt of 3.6 last year. So give me something to tie on to be optimistic about here. I'm not finding it, and maybe you see it, and I've just missed it.
Well, I actually did make a mistake. I actually have him 12th. I moved a lot of these guys around. So not 11, I do
Okay.
have him 12. So a little bit above me.
14, 12. Yeah, same, same.
Yeah, it's not that crazy. I know there's a lot of people really intrigued by him, and he was an interesting prospect. Obviously, I think we're both lower on consensus. I do think we could end up being wrong. I mean, everything you look up about him, Liam Cohen is basically straight up saying like this guy's going to be the guy. He needs to take advantage of the opportunity to be the lead guy and yada yada yada. And I think yeah, a lot of the reason he didn't get a lot of targets is because Travis Etienne was there.
Right.
So it's like I don't know. The Jags seem to love him. And like you said, he had a 3.6 yards per attempt or whatever in an obvious backup role. But he did have 7 touchdowns on only 28 red zone touches, which is a pretty good turnover rate. I can't put him ahead of the guys that I do have above him quite yet, but I do think he's like a sleeper. I think I have more intrigue about him than you do. But I just can't. It's all like skeptical, production. It's
Sure.
it's not like or like phantom whatever word I'm looking for. Production. It's not been proven yet. So I'm with you. Yeah. So I got him at
It's all
12.
vibes for you, huh?
Yeah, all vibes. So not that much farther than you. So my 14 was the Broncos. Your
Okay.
14 was the Jags, right?
Yep.
So I'll move up to 13, and this is where I have the Houston Texans.
Okay.
Um, I honestly thought I would have Demont a little higher. I was pretty pumped when he signed with the Texans. I think it's a good fit. But there's a lot of smoke around this being a split backfield with Woody Marks, and Marks being like a PPR guy. Which, if that is the case, that takes some away from Demont to me. I do like their odds to have a good season, but if Marks has taken the passing game work and Demont is taking most of the rushing, they're kind of just incomplete by nature. You know what I mean? And so it's hard to really see the huge upside for them. Especially when you look at the Texans, who since CJ Stroud showed up, you really want these guys to score touchdowns, right? Demont will have a higher chance to get a lot of rushing touchdowns, and then you kind of that's what you would want to kind of balance out the fact that he's not getting any PPR work. But the Texans, since picking up CJ Stroud, have been 27th in rushing touchdowns, then 15th, and then 23rd since CJ Stroud got there. So they just don't score a lot on the ground. I think they want David Montgomery to help with that. But I mean, he is an older guy, and again, they attempted to improve this offensive line, but that's still on paper. And then also, it's like, this is an offense that if CJ Stroud is playing the way they want him to be, and they want to see if they want to give him that second contract, they're going to be slinging the ball over the place, especially if that great wide receiver core is healthy. So I could just see them kind of being decent, and just ending up being like decent floor guys, but not a very high ceiling. So that's why they kind of slide in here at 13.
Yeah, there's an amount of uncertainty with what this team wants to do. And so I'm with you there. I think that, after being in the bottom whatever 10th of the league in rush attempts. It was nice to see them get up in the top half of the league. They were 13th in rush attempts last year. That's a kind of a culture shift, and I think if they can utilize Montgomery, in the role that he's been successful in, that it should help, sustain some of his value, but it's not the Lions. So you're right. I've got the Texans at 11.
Okay,
Um, so yeah, that's kind of yeah, that's right in the line where I couldn't put Bashul over Demont.
gotcha.
And then I also couldn't put him over Travion Henderson.
Okay,
So that's where I'm at on 12 is the
okay.
Patriots.
So I have them at 11.
Okay. So yeah, so I mean, you've got a 12 in there somewhere. We'll get to it, I assume.
Well,
Maybe
my
next.
12 was Tootin. I just said it wrong at first.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say you got two 11s. Okay, so our bottom six is the same.
Yeah.
Yay. That's not bad. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, but I think with Henderson, you kind of you saw a lot more Ramondre than we expected to. It was kind of weird because Ramondre's gone like in and out of the doghouse
Yeah.
and being like a really good pass catcher to just like completely having no clue how to value him for
Yeah.
fantasy. And then they come out and spend some solid draft capital on Henderson. So you want to see a little bit more of a balance shift towards him, but it was pretty close to a 60-40 split with Henderson having a leader ship role and as far as the shares go. But I think that Stevenson was relied on heavily as they got down to the postseason, which kind of told you a lot about how the team felt. But I think going into a second year, that they're gonna shift back towards Henderson as the lead guy here. But I don't think Stevenson's going anywhere, so you just got to look out for that. But I don't know. For me, I'd like to be higher on Henderson, but the way things went when it really there was a lot on the line, kind of scared us all on the Henderson front. But I do think when it gets back to the regular season, when it comes to the plan of attack, that the Patriots are gonna, go for Henderson and get him as the lead role. Even though our lads and everybody else has Stevenson as the front runner on this squad, I don't think that's necessarily the case. But I don't know. I don't know on this one what to say
Yeah.
because it was a really even split. They showed you they wanted to activate the rookie, but they just couldn't release, that role fully to him. I think going in the second year, it's going to be all his.
Yeah, no, I agree. This one was frustrating. I want these guys to be higher than 11.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the even split. Yeah, it's a crazy split. Stevenson was the RB 22 in points
Hmm.
per game. Henderson was 25. Henderson had 180 attempts. Stevenson had 130. Henderson had 5.1 yards per attempt. Stevenson had 4.6. Henderson had 42 targets. Oh, he's going to beat him somewhere. Well, Stevenson had 37. Uh, Henderson had 41 red zone touches. Stevenson had 36 red zone touches. But then Stevenson outsnaps him 718 to 584. What are we doing? Bro, just stop. Just give Hendo the ball. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's what I gotta hope for me personally, especially the for the belt stock. I gotta hope that Henderson
Sure.
takes over a little more. But until I see it, I can't really sign up for these guys being any higher than 11.
Dude, he
But I do
was one of the
think
best pass blocking running back prospects in history,
in
Christian.
history. Um, so yeah, I do think the potential opening up of the offense could help with AJ Brown and Romeo Dobbs being there. Now
For
they
sure.
actually really have to guard that, which would really help Henderson out a lot with his explosiveness. So I'm hoping that Hendo takes over, but yeah, until then, I can't really rank him higher until he's like a pure guy. So yeah, so your 11 was
The Texans,
Texans. Okay, and mine was Patriots here. So I'll go with
Patriots.
10.
Yep.
And I've got Quinshawn Judkins here for the Brownies. I like Judkins a lot. He's tied for RB 25 in points per game, but he looked really, really good in places on a really bad Browns team. The Browns last year ranked 28th in run blocking game grade per PFF. But then on paper they have improved their offensive line, replacing four starters from last season. I mean, that's a complete turnaround. So you never know if those guys really do all hit the ground running and improve this offensive line, then we could really see Judkins take off. But I just don't believe in this offense enough to put him more higher than any of these other guys because now we're into there's not another group here that I consider a split backfield. So this is all your pure RB1 type guys. And just with how bad I think the Browns will still be, I can't really put Judkins in front of these other guys. There's a few of them that I think are on like they're great players on bad offenses. And Judkins, I think, is well on his way to that. I still think he'll be good, but I think week to week will be kind of frustrating. But going forward into 2027, Judkins is the guy I wish I had some shares of for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about Judkins. I also have him at 10.
Okay.
Like you're saying, it's strictly the offense here. And he did miss some time. It was kind of a weird start to his rookie year, to be honest with you. We didn't even know what was going on with Judkins, so I think clean it up. You got Todd Monken in the house now. Um, I think they're gonna probably just activate him and prioritize him as a leader on this team. He
I
got
agree.
out targeted by Samson last year. I don't think that happens again.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm with you. So I couldn't agree more.
Awesome. Well, then let's kick it to you. Who you got at 9?
Nine, I've got, and this, like you're saying, this is kind of where I don't know. This is where the tough part of this goes. But I've Kenneth Walker.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and I really wanted to have I started with him very much higher than this. But I couldn't make it happen. I think he's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. I just like some of these other guys in their consistent role that it's been offered to him. But obviously, he's a chief. He's coming in. He was points per game ranked 34 last year. Is that right? That feels right. But
I have him at
yep,
28.
yep, 28. There you go. Fat fingered that one. Sorry, Demont. All right, 28. So that's still not wonderful. And then you got rush attempt ranked 25th for the Chiefs last year. And then Walker's targets, he had 36 last year on a team that had 62 for the running back room, which is extremely low. So it's hard to translate that when you look at the Chiefs, who had 89 targets to the running back room last year. But then if you think about who those targets were going to, you still have to look at Brashard Smith, who is still on this team, and an addition of Emmett Johnson. So I'm wondering, as far as like the pass catching work, if they're going to try and spice it up and put Johnson in there after taking him in the fifth round and having a little bit of steam going with Brashard Smith. But anyway, Kenneth Walker, I think, is going to get a lot of good running in, a lot of good chunk plays, and a lot of scoring. But I just can't project him in the Chiefs offense just because there's so much kind of uncertainty of how he's going to be utilized after they've kind of been on a drought as far as effective running backs go. So I got him here at 9.
Gotcha. So I'm a bit more bullish on him than you are. I've got him at
Sure.
5.
5.
I really like I think this is gonna work, and I think the reason they've been on a drought is because they're trying to rely on 30-year-old Kareem Hunt to run the ball
For
and
sure.
running in mud Isaiah Pacheco. I know he looks fun when he runs, but it's not that effective. When you look at Kenneth Walker, I mean it was fairly effective for what it was. I don't want to throw shade on Pacheco. He had some good years there, but he
Throw
just
the
wasn't.
shade.
I don't think he was a game changer, you know. Whereas Kenneth Walker, he ranked second in the league according to PFF in missed tackles forced behind only Bijan Robinson. But if you compare their snaps, Bijan Robinson had 860 snaps and Kenneth Walker only had 620. Like he was on the field so much more, and he was only like 5 or 6 missed tackles forced behind him. Despite that, he was only RB 28 in points per game. But so was Zach Charbonnet, and it's because they were pulling each other out whenever they got to the goal line. They were eating each other a lot. There were injuries all around as well. But I've been kind of pounding the table that I think early on, they're gonna rely on the running game in Kansas City to make sure that Mahomes is okay and not to overwork him. And so that to me leans into they're going to get back to where they were with early stage Kareem Hunt, where he was running the ball and catching it all the time, and they relied on him as the guy. And I think Kenneth Walker has proven that he is a workhorse in the NFL. That's just not what the Seahawks wanted to do with him. He's got the size, he's got the ability to create after the play. So why not run him as much as you can? And I mean, they paid him 14 and a half, basically $1 million per year. Like, I think that's the plan going forward. I don't think you're going to see as much of a split backfield in there. And he's going to be on a great offense where once Mahomes does get up and running, you can't just load up the box like you kind of could do against the Seahawks last year because you knew they wanted to run the ball. Now JSN and Sam Darnold made you pay for that, and that's why they won the Super Bowl. But I think you're still going to have to respect Mahomes, and now he's got an actual thumper, an actual true RB star in the backfield. And I think this is going to work really well. So I've got him up at 5. I think he's going to have a really good season, honestly.
Yeah, I can't argue with you. I like him, and I'm pretty pumped to see what happens. I just looking at the list of names above him. It's a tough. It's a pretty thick pack here.
Yeah, that's fair. I hear you.
Who do you
Well,
have at
so
9?
at 9, I have Brees Hall,
Okay.
and I think he suffers kind of in the same as the Quinshon Judkins issue, where it's a bad offense overall that he's going to be playing for. I am on the record of liking what the Jets are trying to build, but I still think they're not going to be great or good yet. Gino is coming to town, which hopefully he'll be an improvement. But you know, the Jets could still just fall into that where they're not scoring enough for Brees Hall to be that effective. But the Jets did decide not to let him walk and decided to pay him $14.5 million per year. So he's obviously going to eat. And with Geno Smith, it means he's probably going to get a lot of targets as well. We know that Brees Hall is a great receiving threat out of the backfield. And with Geno last year, Ashton Genty had 73 targets. The year before that, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet combined for 105 targets. In 2023, they combined for 87 targets. And I only put their combined numbers because they were just splitting so much time that it's hard to like differentiate. But still, Geno's throwing the ball to the guy out of the backfield, and I don't feel like Brees Hall is going to come out of the lineup that much, not after paying him $14.5 million anyway. Uh, so my point is that Geno's not afraid to throw two running backs, and Brees has always been able to take advantage of that. I mean, his best season, his sophomore year, he caught 76 passes for 591 yards and 4 touchdowns. That does kind of speak to what I'm talking about, though. Like how he had 509 yards, 76 catches, but only 4 scores. And that's because the Jets just don't score that much. So I think he might run into that problem again. But I like Brees Hall a lot. I think he can end up being better than the 20 points per game or RB 20 in points per game like he was last year.
Yeah, I've got him at 8, so right there
Okay.
with you. Just one spot ahead of Walker, and I think this is yeah, pretty well illustrated there with the new contract and just what we know him to be capable of. I think it's just a little more return to form,
Hmm.
and hopefully Gino can keep this offense afloat because there's a lot of juicy fantasy options just camped out on it. But
Yeah.
yep, we're just gonna have to see. Yep, he's obviously a hell of a football player. Just got to be put in a position to succeed and score some touchdowns. I think that's the missing factor for Hall. You know, he's never been over 5 rushing touchdowns in a
Hmm.
single season, and that's kind of a heartbreaking thing to say out loud.
Yeah.
But you
It's hurt
could
him. Go ahead.
no, you
I
go.
just, yeah, it's hurt him the entire time he's been in the NFL. It's just that the Jets can't score. So hopefully in 2027, whenever they get this rookie quarterback that they're fighting for, that guy turns out to be a guy and can kind of make this offense chug along. Because if he could start scoring touchdowns, he'd be a perennial top 7 guy, you know?
Hmm.
Um, Speaking of, we're close to the top 7. You just said Brees is your 8.
Yep.
My 8 is Chase Brown.
Okay.
Um, Chase Brown went crazy last year, 16.6 points per game, good for RB7 overall. Ended the playoff stretch really well. In fact, I made the mistake of in the Gauntlet League we were in. I should have just wrote it out with Chase Brown. I went for the name value of Saquon Barkley, and it bit me in the ass. I ended up losing, so that
That's
sucks.
tough.
Should have stuck with Chase Brown, but you live and you learn. He also had a career high in receptions with 69, which helped that number out quite a bit. I do specifically have a feeling that that number is going to come back down if Joe Burrow's healthy. He's not against throwing to the running backs, but that's not what he wants to do. You know, he has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins for a reason. He wants to be down the field attacking and constantly doing that. So I feel like that 69 receptions could come down to, I mean, maybe like 50-ish, you know, so maybe not like that crazy overall. But that means you're still taking away opportunities. That's like around one target away a game or so. Um, I just have a feeling that Chase Brown's going to come back down to the 10 to 12 range instead of being like in the RB 6-7 range. Um, with the offense kind of running the way they'd rather it run, with the pass first attack and Joe Burrow, not really how they needed to compensate for the fact that they didn't have Joe Burrow. But Chase Brown's been a dog there, man. It's hard to fight against him. But I really think the seven names in front of him are guys that I think are like true superstar status, and I just can't really get there with Chase Brown.
Yeah, I feel you. He was the guy that floated around on this list and ended up just kind of getting bumped up and up and up. I think that I hated on him a little too hard last year, so I put him in the sixth spot.
Okay.
So, not a big difference there, but you're right. If Burrow's up and at him, he's probably not going to get all those dump offs. But I think he proved himself as the guy that can be a bell cow, and they did all of nothing to add competition in their running back room. So they obviously liked what they saw and are going to try and utilize him in a
Yeah,
similar fashion. So. We'll
for
see. Taj
sure.
Brooks, dude. Taj Brooks. Don't say it's not possible because we know it is. But so my number seven guy
Yep.
is Derrick Henry.
Okay. I have him at six.
Okay, so yeah, we're hitting near here. We're doing the whack-a-mole thing. Um, yeah, I mean Derrick Henry's coming off of
Mm-hmm.
back-to-back seasons of 16 rushing touchdowns, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really see anything changing here. Obviously, there's a lot of new with Jesse Minter and then Declan Doyle coming in. There's going to be some changes,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see what that ends up being. We all wanted to see some healthy additions to the receiver group on this team, and we kind of did not see substantial changes. It's more of a sea of hopefuls. So I think that even at age 32, getting 5.2 yards per carry, I think Henry is going to keep the ball rolling. He's going to, keep scoring touchdowns, 16 both years in Baltimore. What's to stop him from doing it again this year? I know Lamar would rather see those numbers on his stat line, but I think winning a Super Bowl is probably should be a priority for this team. Not
Mm-hmm.
sure they're gonna get there, but I don't know. I like Derrick Henry's chances. He only had 21 targets, so he's out targeted on his own squad, which is kind of how it's going to be for him forever. But I don't know necessarily. Justice Hill is going to keep rolling in that role, but I don't think any pass catching work is headed his way as an increase. But he never
Mm-hmm.
needed it to be successful to begin with. So, Derrick Henry, man, maybe the last time, maybe
Yeah.
not.
Who knows? Yeah, when will he ever fall off? Will the king
Ever,
ever fall off?
whatever
I don't know. He'll
might
turn
be.
33 this year. And he was still the RB8 last season. I think the Ravens offense will be invigorated by like the changing of the guard. And I agree with everything you said. It's hard to rank him lower. It's just like at a certain point he does have to fall off. You know, like it's
Yeah.
not going to keep going forever. So there's names I like in front of him. But that's really the only reason because you're right. Like I don't see, I mean, they lose their center, so maybe that is like a troubling thing for them to try and overcome. The interior of the offensive line could hurt old Derrick Henry in the long run. But I mean, he's going to fall into the end zone at least 10 times, you know, so it's
Hmm.
hard to bet against that. So, yeah, I have him at six.
Okay.
I have Ashton Genty at 7. And this is another guy who I think is suffering from being on like a bad team. I do think the Raiders would be better. Their offensive line ranked 30th in the NFL in terms of run blocking grade and dead last overall, according to PFF. They tried to improve that a lot this offseason, but it's all on paper. You know what I mean? They bring in the Ravens center Linderbaum to a crazy contract, and they're getting one of their best tackles back. So maybe they will be there, which they do need to be better because if Genty could just get some damn blocking, he would definitely improve. These stats are crazy. Genty ranked 47th in yards before contact per attempt with just 1.6. So he wasn't even able to get an average of 2 yards before he was getting hit. That comes from Pro Football Reference. Despite this, he was tied for 14th in yards after contact per attempt from PFF. He was sixth in missed tackles force with 61. He was just on a terrible team that kneecapped everything he did. And then it made people think that he was a disappointment last season. And I don't really think he was. Like he did everything that he could possibly do, as well as catch the ball a lot more than I think we thought he was going to. So people act like it was a massive disappointment. And I know that like fantasy is different than real football, but the Raiders just sucked. That's not Genty's fault because he was the RB 11 overall and 16th in points per game. And I think he can improve on that. The reason I don't have him higher is all these teams in front of him despite one, are just better teams. You know, like they're gonna score more. They're gonna be in a better position. And I think there's gonna be the weird transition period from Kirk Cousins to Mendoza. And like I don't think this is quite the year for the Raiders to be like a juggernaut offense. But I do think Janty could be much better than the seventh place I have him ranked. I just you gotta go with your gut and pick some of these guys, and that's I just don't believe in the Raiders enough quite yet. But I do think Genty is going to take advantage of it, and I think he'll improve on what he did last year.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that yeah, a little bit of help on the O line, and then the fact that the passing game is still just going to be Brock Bowers apparently.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's got me pretty excited to see some growth going into this year. So I have him at number 5. I got him in the fifth
Okay.
spot, um, just because I think they're just gonna keep the workload going. I mean, 73 targets as a rookie, that's insane for a guy that also touched the ball 266 times in the
Hmm.
run game. So for me, it's strictly volume. It's going to be,
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to have one of the top 5 workloads for running back in the league, I think. So I definitely gave him top 5 in the AFC because of it.
That makes sense.
Um,
Yeah. Hard to
yeah.
argue.
But as far as my number 4 guy, I don't think, yeah, there's hardly not too many people are getting a bigger workload as far as like efficiency and fantasy production than I got Devon Achan at 4.
So do I. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I didn't know. This is like this gets dicey right here.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, obviously everything I said about Genty times like much worse as far as there's nothing else going on this team at all. Um, as far as the wide receiver room, even the tight end room, it's Devon Achan. It was last year. It's in and out. Now that Waddle's gone, it's pretty much. I mean, it's obviously a pause moment year for Miami. And they're just gonna go over the top with the utilization for Achan. He's doing 5.7 yards per attempt on the ground. That's out of this world. This is a guy that's only got 12 touchdowns total last year. I think he can improve on that number, even though the team might not be in scoring position as much. I looked for some stability with Malik Willis joining the team, and it didn't ever really seem to matter that everybody knew that Achan was coming right at their
Yeah.
face. He just ran him over. He's done it, 3 years in and out, missed time in the rookie year, but his potency as a NFL player as far as efficiency and just explosiveness is has just gone up and up, at
Hmm.
1,350 yards on the ground last year. I didn't think that was really in his skill set with his size, but it is. He's out of control. So, I mean, it's only because we're staring at a couple of could be juggernauts above him. But I mean, beating out Genti says, that says the whole world. In my book here, he's going to be awesome. And he's going to be even better in 2027 when they can put something around him.
Yeah, you would think so. Actually, for me, ranking Gentry was really hard. Or sorry, ranking Achan was really hard for me. He was all over. I think at one point I had him as low as 10, and then I just had to keep moving him around. And then, yeah, I basically what happened was I kept coming to the back to kind of what you were talking about. My only fear is that like the team might be bad, and it's like, well, the team has always been bad for Devon Achan, like for the most
Hmm.
part. Like it's not like he's been on these juggernaut teams when he's been doing well. So I mean, I am still a little skeptical of the Dolphins and a little worried, but I do think you just can't deny what he's been able to put on tape so far. I mean, RB5 in points per game in back-to-back years. And maybe in like a super or in a redraft, I'd be scared of him at the first round value, but I probably shouldn't be as well, and I probably should just suck it up. Um, because like you said, defenses are going to try and be able to key in or try to key in on him and focus on him because the passing game is going to be so subpar. But if that's the only thing I'm worried about, it's hard to rank him much lower than this. I guess the other thing would be we don't know how the Miami Dolphins offense is going to look, and I do think Mike McDaniel had a lot to say about getting Achan into those advantageous positions against defenses.
That's
But
true.
but regardless, like yeah, he's been so explosive that like he can just turn a game on its head, and it's hard to deny.
Oh yeah.
So my number three, this get interesting because we clearly have the same three guys. I want to see the order. I've
Mm.
got James Cook at three.
Okay.
Really high on uh Mr. Hampton. So James Cook goes down to three for me. Um, he had 17.8 points per game, which was good for sixth in the NFL. He also finished sixth. He's been fantastic the last 3 years, and there's really not much to change that or stop him. You would think that Josh Allen being on his team would take away rushing touchdowns, but it hasn't over the last 2 years. He had 14 last season, combined touchdowns with receiving, and 18 the year before. So I don't see much of a scenario where he doesn't perform at this level. He is turning 27 soon, so maybe he does hit that dreaded 27 wall and drop off over the next year or so. But until then, like you got to continue to ride this wave. And if I wasn't so bullish on what I think the Chargers can do, spoiling what I'm going to talk about earlier or later, but I just really think James Cook is there. This is a tier by itself. Is these three guys to me? So he's at the
Mhm.
very high end tier of the AFC running backs, and I had him at two for a while. But I don't know with them bringing in DJ Moore. I think they want to open up the pass game a little more. And I don't know. I could just see maybe he doesn't get 14 touchdowns again. You know what I mean? So that's why I have him here. You can tell me why I'm wrong because I feel like that's not where you have him.
I don't.
Uh,
I
but
have him in a different position. Yes.
okay.
Oh shit. No, I can't tell you why you're incorrect. I don't think, like you're saying, these top three guys, it just sees, you guys see how the chips fall, but they're at the end of the day, they'll probably be the top three.
Hmm.
I have James Cook at number one.
Okay.
Yeah, which it's strictly because I was shocked in 2024 when he got 16 rushing touchdowns.
Hmm.
I thought there's no way this is ever going to happen again. Fluke, 100% fluke. And it was a fluke. He only got 12 rushing touchdowns last year. But what he did do was have 309 attempts. And the player that I saw coming out of Georgia into the NFL did not look like the kind of guy that could just shoulder 300 rushing attempts, at 190 pounds. But he did it, and 5.2 yards
Yeah.
per carry. It's just crazy to me. I'm looking at his numbers next to Jonathan Taylor, and obviously JT's got 18 touchdowns. That's outrageous. But missed tackles forced in the regular season, they're right there in the mid 60s. The one thing that kind of has me a little surprised is the receiving work hasn't really elevated to the level I think it should or could.
Hmm.
He only had 40 targets, which is, the limiting factor for this offense when they're getting their boy Ty Johnson involved still at a ridiculous level. It just kind of makes me sad to look at that because I think there's some untapped potential for him as a pass catcher. But I was impressed, 1,600
Yeah.
yards. I just
Killed
think
it.
that, yeah, like this offense needs a breakthrough, and he's kind of the foundation. It's hard to say that, even though Josh Allen exists, right? But I mean, you can't deny like a 1,600-yard running back is that's elite, and
Hmm.
he can make big plays happen. He can score the ball in the red zone. So I think they're gonna keep pushing that. It's just a theory, but who knows? What do you got at number? Let's see. I guess it's to me for number three.
Yeah. You for three.
Ooh, oh, you're not gonna like this. I got Marion Hampton
Okay.
at number three. So I don't know if you have him at number one. Is that what I'm hearing from
No, I
you?
have him at two.
Okay, okay. Whew. Jeez, man. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I'm just over here being Daniel, just doing my best. But um yeah, I think you got a lot more to say about him than I do. He was obviously incredible. Just missed some time with the injuries, but he looked good, especially finishing the year strong. He's got good pass catching ability and rushing ability. I don't think that you can do anything with the stats as far as his rookie year goes. I think you can throw him out and look to some coaching changes, right? Some excitement. Obviously, Harbaugh's going to go all the way to the run game. Hope the defense holds, and then you get Mike McDaniel in here, and like, uh, who knows, man? It's gonna be crazy without being distracted by running the whole team. I think the offensive playbook is just going to get a little unhinged. I think Justin Herbert can handle it, right? He can support it, and they have the skills position cast to really get creative and do whatever they want. But Hampton seems like a guy that they can run the offense through. He's going to be a bell cow. I'm not worried about Keaton Mitchell too much or anyone else on this in this backfield. But what do you got? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously with you. I got him at two. I thought this was going to be my craziest ranking, which I suppose it is, considering he's in front of Cook for you. But you having him at three makes me feel less crazy about it. He was the RB 13 in points per game with 15.1. That's with the game getting hurt. That's with coming back from injury and with like early on splitting time with Najee Harris. So he just really came in and showed what he could do on an offense that like wasn't that creative. So now you bring it, it's all about Mike McDaniel to me, honestly. Like you bring in his scheme, and I think Hampton is like designed to kind of flourish in this. They attempted to fix the interior of the offensive line. They take Slaughter in the second round. They bring in Biotish at center and Cole Strange at guard. I mean, on paper, that's improved. We'll see. But the main part is getting their two tackles back in Joe Alt and uh, Rashawn Slater. So that offensive line being better, and then like you said, now McDaniel's just going to be able to attack all these guys, and they bring in Njoku, they bring in Charlie Kohler to I think solidify some rushing, and I do think they're going to be a run first offense. I think the passing game is going to be a lot more effective than it was in previous years because of the run first game, and hopefully because of the fixed offensive line. But that's just going to make the run threat that much more with the play action and with everything that McDaniel likes to do. I am slightly worried about Keaton Mitchell because McDaniel was banging the table apparently wanting that guy to come over. So they are
Hmm.
definitely going to use him as like a lightning and thunder combo with Hampton. But I really I like Hampton, man. I think he can really turn out and chug out a monster RB1 season if the Chargers offense looks the way I expect it to. And I'm just pretty bullish on the Chargers as a whole. And so it's hard for me. I just, as much as I want Lad McConkey and everybody to just feast with Justin Herbert, I really do think Hampton is going to be the one that benefits the most from being behind the Mike McDaniel scheme. So
I'm with you.
yeah. So all right, that leaves one player for us to talk about. Sounds like your number two
Yep.
and my number one. That's Jonathan Taylor. He was a monster for the Colts last season. He had 21.3 points per game, which was fourth. And that's with a massive drop off after Daniel Jones went down, which is pretty crazy to say. But if we go just from week 1 to 10, he was sitting at 27.4 points per game, which is just an unreal number. I mean, that would have put him at the RB1 spot for the whole year. Obviously, there's always a danger with an older running back coming off a huge workload like that. And I did mention earlier in the offseason that like I was worried about the potential of the Colts regressing and that kind of hurting Taylor's effectiveness. But I think I've come around 180 on that, and I'm back on board, man. With Daniel Jones like looking like he's going to be healthy, I'm still worried potentially about the Colts, but they just used Taylor in such a fantastic way last season that I just think they're going to get right back to that. Fresh legs at the beginning of the year. I think he especially will pop at the beginning of the year, maybe taper off again if the workload becomes an issue. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor's a stud. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, it's unreal for them to give him the 55 targets, kind of a big bump up, kind of blew my mind. So adding depth to his game as a receiver, plus, I mean, I'm not gonna keep on saying this too much, but there's not too much to be overly excited about in the receiving game for this team. So. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor's team. Just got to hope that Daniel Jones remembers who was really responsible for the success they were having.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. All
Yeah.
right.
So,
All right.
all right.
Well, there you have it. There's our final positional breakdown rankings of the AFC running backs. Like I said, we are going to take a week off as I move my whole life around, and then hopefully come back and do the yearly running back report that we like to do. It's a great episode if you like some meaty, deep cut stats. So until then. We've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Enjoy your week off, everybody.
Thinking